Let's see here. Hello and welcome everybody to the 27th episode of Hell in a Handbasket. It is the 17th of July. Jesus Christ.
He got the episode right, but the month wrong. So
I almost said January, July. But anyway, see, oh, man. But okay, anyway, so it's a bunch of crazy events happened, of course, like always, and there's a shit ton of news to talk about. So what we want to do, what I was really excited to do, is update. There's been an update to the Senator Graham and Blumenthal, Senators Graham and Blumenthal press conference that we covered in Ukraine. So we did that a while back. I don't remember which episode it was, but a while back we covered their, I don't remember, it was like half an hour or so press conference in it was like somewhere outside, somewhere in Kiev. And since then, it turns out like these guys are going to try to be butt buddies. It's going to be just like Senator Graham and John McCain, which I always thought that Graham stuck around with John McCain because John McCain needed somebody that was even stupider than he is, you know?
Yeah.
Because by comparison, he starts to look like presidential material. Like seriously.
Fair. Yep.
But yeah, so we have to do this Face the Nation interview. And remember, we did Love It All's Face the Nation interview too. Remember how we raffle stomped freaking Margaret Brennan. It was really satisfying to watch. That was the episode where Nanya cut out. Excuse me.
All right, I haven't seen this yet, so this is my first time seeing it.
All right, let's see here.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah, for me too. But I'm pumped for this episode because I'm pumped for. Oh, here's how I should do it. Yeah, I totally got this. I can get the audio to go if I do it this way, right? I've learned from my mistakes on StreamYard. Okay, here we go. Share. Here we go. Share audio. Do you see it? All right.
Yep.
Here we go.
She's very yellow.
Yeah, maybe it's like the Ukraine colors, you know? I don't know. Hadn't thought about it. Okay. Where are we? Let's play. Oh, shoot.
Lindsey Graham in Clemson, South Carolina, and Senator Richard Blumenthal in Bridgeport, Connecticut. They both just returned from Europe where they met with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Good morning to you both, Senators.
Good morning.
Senator Graham, I want to start with you. Russia's escalating. They're not ending this war in Ukraine. NATO's Secretary General is going to be here in Washington this week and will be meeting with President Trump, who is, according to our report.
I just want to point out that I don't know if Russia's escalating. I think they're just staying the course.
That would be the first.
Well, yeah. Her definition of escalating, like the thing about it is Russia's position has not changed 1 inch during this conflict. Like they've got their stated goals and they've stayed on the stated goals. And they also have presented some proposals over the years, including the one in Istanbul last year. Nobody seems to agree to that, so they keep going on. So it's not that Russia is escalating, it's just that they really don't have a negotiating partner at this point. And the West just seems to not want to admit reality. That would be my guess.
Maybe by escalating, but oops.
No, you zoned up.
No. Did I stop sharing the screen?
I can hear you now.
You can hear me.
Yeah, you did. But
let me share the screen again. But yeah, so this whole thing where she says that they're escalating, it could be that, or it could be that they're getting ready to give us another um, narrative, set us up for a whole different narrative where we're saying that, okay, now we have to meet. Because think about what Donald Trump keeps talking about. We've heard the term peace through strength so many times. So, I think maybe they're setting us up for that anyway.
Taken office. What do you know about what is coming?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of the president, but I'm having dinner along with Senator Blumenthal and other senators with Secretary General Mark Rutte tomorrow night. A turning point regarding Russia invasion of Ukraine is coming. For months, President Trump has tried to entice Putin to the peace table. He's put tariffs
See exactly what I was talking about.
against countries that allow fentanyl to come in our country, other bad behavior.
What does fentanyl have to do with it? Fentanyl bad, Russia bad. You're muted, by the way.
He's left the door open regarding Russia. That door is about to close. Dick and I have got 85 co-sponsors of the United States Senate for congressional sanctions with a sledgehammer available to President Trump to go after Putin's economy and all those countries who prop up the Putin war machine. China, India, and Brazil buy oil and petroleum products and other goods from Russia. That's the money Putin uses is to prosecute the war. And this
uses is to prosecute the war.
Congressional package that we're looking at would give President Trump the ability to impose 500% tariff on any country that helps Russia and props up Putin's war machine. He can dial it up or down. He can go to 0 to 500. He has maximum flexibility, but we're going after the people who keep Putin.
Notice what he keeps repeating, the going after Putin's war machine, and we're going after people who are funding Putin's war machine. So that it's got to be a new talking point.
Putin in business and additional sanctions on Russia itself. This is truly a sledgehammer available to President Trump to end this war.
Remember what I said ages ago. It's got to work, right? Like you're looking for something in a panic. It's got to be here. My keys, they have to be here. I left them here. They can't be gone. Where the heck are they? I didn't lock him in the freaking car, right? So it's like that's what they're doing. They're like, sanctions have to work, and that's what they're doing. They come back to sanctions have to work. In terms of like specifically Lindsey Graham, I think he's probably so deluded. I think he's really that delusional. I was listening to what's that podcast, Conversations Among the Ruins, and the dad, I don't forget his name. He says that he thinks that Graham, people like Lindsey Graham, are completely unaware or refuse to accept the limits of American power. So I could see that. Like anyway.
No, I think what we're watching right now is all theater. Every bit of it is all theater, you know. Like the Americans have been extraordinarily consistent on their position. And I've said this before. You listen to J.D. Vance in his now famous speech. You listen to Marco Rubio. You listen to Donald Trump. They're all saying the same thing. And that is very simple. We're not funding this money-losing dog anymore. If you Europeans would like to keep funding this military losing dog, we're more than happy to sell you arms. And that's exactly what's happened. Like they're all following the plan, which is burden share, as I believe it was Rubio said, the load over to Europe. And the Europeans all, clapped like trained seals and said, yes, we'll do it. However, now, like, forget about people like Ursula von der Leyen and Mark Rutte. They don't have any power, right? All of this has to be approved by the EU, like the member states.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at this now, and they're all backing out because
some of them
none of them
backed out. Some of them probably, like Poland, I don't think, right? But I think that Hungary.
No, Poland hasn't. No, Poland hasn't agreed to it. The only ones that I'm aware who have agreed to fund this piece of trash are 4 countries: UK, puppy dog vassal state,
Of course,
Canada, puppy dog
Oh
vassal
my
state.
gosh.
Denmark. Only reason Denmark's doing it is because of the whole Greenland thing. They feel like they need to pay protection money, and that's all it is protection money.
Uh-huh.
And then you got Germany who agreed. And I think Germany did it first to kind of take the lead and say, well, we're stepping up and we're sending 2 Patriots. But then the rest of the European countries are like, okay, good for you. We're not doing shit. So France, Italy, Slovakia, I think Poland, Spain, definitely. A bunch of countries have now come out and said, yeah, we're not going to be sending anything. So Ursula's whole €100 billion fund and all, it's all fantasy, man. It's all fantasy. Same thing with Lindsey Graham. Like, here's what's happening right now. And bear with me, okay? This might take a couple minutes. Basically, you've got Europe, which was defeated during World War II, okay?
Okay.
Europe, for all intents and purposes, was defeated. The UK was defeated. France was defeated. The Germans defeated them. They were broke. The British, for God's sake, were ripping up their wrought iron fences for iron because they had nothing, right? So long story short, Allies end up winning the war, largely because of Russia, as we all know. And then they set up the Bretton Woods system as well as the US with the Marshall Plan. So that basically vassalized all of Europe because they were under the control, both economically and militarily, of the US. Like, keep in mind, the UK only paid off their war debt like 2 or 3 years ago to the US, right? Like, they've been in hock to America forever. And that's what led to the whole formation of things like the EU, right? All the EU was, as best I can tell, is a means to centralize power within Europe, frankly, because America just wanted to deal with one body and not, 30, right? So what does this all mean now for NATO, right? So let's start with America, okay? I think with America, NATO has always been and will always be a military spendthrift for the military industrial complex. Like, it always has been.
It's part of the funding.
Yeah, Eisenhower warned us about this years ago, Kennedy understood it too, and well, we know what happened to him. So the grift for America has always been great, not to mention the influence it gives them over the Euro vassals, right? Let's not forget that the old NATO slogan was keep the Americans in, keep the Russians out, and keep the Germans down, right?
I don't think it was a slogan, but it was something that was said multiple times by multiple highfalutin people in the, maybe it's like unofficially it was maybe a slogan, but yeah, I don't think that was officially a slogan. But yeah.
So like I said, Trumpco, they've been very consistent with their message, which has always, been the position from Trump since he took over is Biden shouldn't have started this war. We're out. If you guys want to keep buying weapons, we're more than happy to sell them to you. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Okay. So that's the American side of NATO. Now we move over to the European and their perspective. NATO holds a very different position for them because for NATO, for them, NATO, and by extension, the Ukraine war, has now become an existential threat to Europe. And what I mean by that, well, if NATO is defeated, it kind of defeats the whole point of NATO, does it not? And I think they're realizing now that they cannot afford NATO. None of these governments can afford 5%. So basically, you have a continent full of these uppity assholes who, for the last 35 years, has been lecturing the rest of the world about how they should think, what values they should have, what crops they should grow, all that crap, right? What governments they should have, which countries they can trade with, and so on. Why? Because they're America's vassal. Straight up, they're just America's vassal, right? If you break up NATO, for example, and America is no longer in Europe, well, then what's Europe? I mean, think about it for a second. What is Europe if without that sort of power backing it? Like, what is Germany? What is France? Who the fuck gives a shit what the UK thinks in 2025? You know what I mean? Like, you've got all these countries that are frankly nothing powers now. And
Well, they understand that.
they don't have anything there, Bradley. Like, the European continent
They
is
understand that.
Yeah, but the European continent,
That's why they
just
Ukraine.
let me finish. The European continent is shockingly void of resources, and they always have been. That's why they went overseas to everywhere to colonize things, just to get those resources, because they've never existed in Europe. So for Europe, what I'm saying is they're completely toast if this whole international rules-based order collapses, because it exposes them for what they are. A bunch of countries that were ruined 80 years ago, straight up. So for them, they need this thing to keep going, because without it, it becomes very clear that the EU is very little. Okay. So, the Europeans don't care about Ukrainian lives. They're going to continue to fund NATO for as long as they possibly can, because they don't know what else to do. However, they're meeting reality now. All of these countries are looking at their budgets. They're saying 5% is not achievable. No serious nation is going to spend this on their military spending, particularly in peacetime. And they're all saying, no, this is all fantasy now. So what I think will happen is you're going to see the narrative change very quickly. Forget Lindsey Graham. All he wants to do is keep the grift going. That's it. That's all Lindsey Graham wants to do. We all know it's not going to happen, because the Americans have already backed down from the Chinese on tariffs. They're not going to put more tariffs on because they can't. Same thing with India. Like, if they don't want to trade with India, India will find somewhere else to trade with. It's not a big deal for them. So it's one of these situations where the Americans have painted themselves into a corner, and the Europeans along with it. And it's very difficult for them to get out of it, particularly the Europeans. I think the plan is very clear with America. We're going to keep sending
Get out of there.
No, well, yeah, get out of there. But if you want weapons, just give us a call. We're right here.
Yeah. We'll get out. You get in. You go in. You take it from here.
Yeah, and they'll keep that grift going for as long as they possibly can. I think Europe is going to sober up very quickly, and they're starting to. So I think Project Ukraine is going to end sooner than later, because nobody can fund it anymore. Keep in mind, forget the military spend. I've always said military is the least of the worries. It's when they can't fund the bureaucracy, when everything collapses. Now, the Ukrainian government has been getting handouts from various Western countries for the last 3 years, and that money's all dried up now too, right? If you look, every month it seems like a different country is like sending them a couple $1 billion. That's just to fund their bureaucracy. That money is going to dry up too, and when that happens, the whole house of cards collapses. And then Europe has got, their bigger issue right now shouldn't be how do we fund the war. How do we keep these people within their borders once this all goes to shit? Because we don't need another 20 million refugees coming our way, right? This is going to be a big problem for them. And that's why they need to keep it going, because they've created such a mess for themselves,
Well, I think that they
That's my
have to. I think that they have to keep it going, because they've invested too much. It's like the sunk cost fallacy. You put so much into this whole entire thing. You're going to back away now. It's going to be just like the Ukrainian leadership having to back away from not just Crimean Beach Party, but we're not even going to get. We're going to lose more territory. And then people say, well, why didn't we make a deal before? We lost so many lives. But anyway, let's continue. The
president said he expects the Senate to pass this measure you put together, and he.
Oh yeah. Also, I was just going to say one thing about what you were saying, which a lot of it, or most of it, I'm pretty sure I agreed with. There was one thing that really stuck out, which is if you think about it, if a NATO is really designed to keep the Russians out, the Germans down, and the Americans in, that means that the Americans will never leave NATO. We're going to be there forever because that's the whole point of NATO.
Described being able to terminate it
Well,
as
fine.
totally
Like
at my
NATO can be there in name, but if you've got nobody funding it, it's just as well to say that it's not there, and that's what's going to happen. Like I think it's pretty clear now that America's interests in Europe are not that great anymore. You know what I mean? The Americans have looked at Europe and they see the same thing that I see. And they see the same thing that I just told you, which is we got this continent, which is more trouble than they're worth, frankly. And what are we actually getting out of this? Right? Like, what are we actually getting
Well,
out of
right now
this?
they're funding our military-industrial complex. Right?
Not really. With what though? Like what?
Well,
what are
if
they?
we convince them to put more spending into it.
But they're not though. That's what I just told you. It's all
Yeah.
fantasy. None of that's happening.
Yeah, but
Right?
that could be their reasoning, is what I mean. But okay.
my
Right,
option.
but
It
well,
very
let's assume that they keep going down the path of no, we're not funding any more weapons for Ukraine. That's the only reason why America's there. So if they're not spending money sending a check to Raytheon, I go back to America is looking at their interests, and their interest in Europe back in 1960 was great. Their interest in Europe in 2025, not so great. So I think that the Americans have smartly said this is not in our strategic interest to invest so much capital and people and everything else into this continent when really, why are we defending these people? What is it that they bring to the table? What resources do they have? What industry do they have? They've got some nice old ruins, right? That's it. So and that's why I said it's so existential for Europe, because America gets this now and the world gets it too. That's the interesting thing. Europe doesn't have, their influence in the world has fallen off a cliff the last few years. And that's only going to continue because the other powers are rising up and they're saying, oh, who the hell is this Macron guy anyway? Geez, he can't even marry a woman. And I'm supposed to listen to what he has to say? Please. Like, the world is changing so rapidly. They are a relic of the past, is what I'm saying. Everybody sees that now. And I think the Europeans know that too. And that's why they're freaking out. Right?
I think that it's dawning on them, yeah.
He described being able to terminate it as totally at my option. It very respectfully lets the president do whatever.
Okay, let's
Senator Blumenthal, on those sanctions, the president said he expects the Senate to pass this measure you put together. And he described being able to terminate it as totally at my option. It very respectfully lets the president do whatever he wants and decide whether or not to exercise it. I know that has raised some concerns among your fellow Democrats like Senators Kaine and Senator Coons. How do you assure them that this is as tough as you promise?
This has to be a critical moment for these sanctions, and bringing down this sledgehammer at this moment was emphasized by all of the European allies who were at the meeting that Senator Graham and I attended in Europe.
There's no way he's
absolutely
straight. No way. No way he's straight.
Solidarity, one after another in that closed door setting, express the view that these sanctions have to be tough and rigorous to change behavior. And so the waiver language that we will have in this bill is very much alike the provisions that have existed in past similar measures that give the president the ability to act in the national security, but also provide congressional oversight. And I think that kind of assurance to my Democratic colleagues is very important. But what is most important, I think, at this moment is our unity. Senator Graham and I, Republican and Democrat, coming together, the European leaders
coming together to screw the American people
with diverse views, also in unity. And we want to make use of the seized assets again.
Yeah. Oh, see, like right away, see right there. We want to make use of the seized assets
in a unified way. I think a multifaceted approach here is the only way to bring Putin to the table, because
That's how they're going to pay for a bunch of U.S. equipment, by stealing Russia's assets.
he's a thug. He understands only force.
Just to follow up on that, the seized assets, there's what, 300 billion in Europe, there's about 5 billion here in the United States. Do you get the sense that the president's going to be willing to tap that, and that the European leaders are going to be willing to seize and use that money?
Part of the plan that I think will be sought in this meeting involving the Secretary General is for Ukraine to be given assets by NATO, and they're purchasing those military assets from the United States. But the seized property, the seized assets from Russia, can be accessed by the Europeans. They are devising a plan to do it, at least for a part of those assets, billions of dollars, in the interest that is derived from them. Very, very important resources.
At least a part of those assets to go to Ukraine, the other part of the assets to go to my pocket.
Sources for Ukraine, and the $5 billion that the United States has also could be accessed. And I think,
yeah. So they're saying that in the open. I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to seize those assets, and it's going to be just as disastrous as everybody always said.
Years now, and
it's time to do it.
And we'll be talking.
Like, you know, the thing about it is, it's completely illegal, and it's counter. Like, Toby Stewart can speak to this way better than I can. He's explained it lots of times, but from the gist of it is basically what he said is all property law is based on this. And if you do this, then it sets a chain reaction in a bunch of other fields within property law, right? And that's why they haven't done it yet.
They seem like they're
well, they do
crazy.
it. It's just straight. Well, then that would be the end of the US dollar, and it'd be the end of the euro. Because why would you ever put any of your money into either of those, right? All that would do would be crush the economies.
Well, they're not going to. If you could say, what if we could just like really crush Russia, put China in its place, and really show everybody don't mess with us? But that's not how it went down. Instead, the Russians are winning the war. China's the biggest economy by purchasing power parity. So,
to one of the congressmen who put together that law to be able to seize.
So yeah, that money is all just imaginary value anyway. You're going to try to step on that. There's going to be hell to pay. You're right.
Those assets later.
Good.
And we'll be talking to one of the congressmen who put together that law to be able to seize those assets later in the program. Senator Graham, I want to ask you on the battlefield and when it comes to weapons, CBS's Jim Laporta has learned a recent defense intelligence assessment shows Ukraine's shortfall in artillery and in drones will lead to marked Russian territorial gains in 2026, with Russia gaining 7-1 firepower superiority by this winter. How can you get them what they need if Congress will not approve in the House any new funding? Is it what Senator Blumenthal just laid out?
Well, just stay tuned for tomorrow's announcement. The idea of America.
By the way, tomorrow's announcement was the 50%. Was 50% tariffs? The secondary tariffs, 100% tariffs on people that trade with Russia.
America selling weapons to help Ukraine is very much in play. We've given Ukraine a lot. We've given them money. We've given them military aid. We now have
also
a minerals agreement with Ukraine.
Straight either. They're both as gay as a picnic basket.
As American senators,
it's worth trillions of dollars. So I don't want to get ahead of the president, but stay tuned about seized assets. The Europeans want to limit the interest on the assets to go to Ukraine. Secretary Bessent wants to go further. Stay tuned about a plan to go after the seized assets more aggressively. Stay tuned for a plan where America will begin to sell to our European allies tremendous amount of weapons that can benefit Ukraine. Putin has calculated that
how much is $300 billion? It's like, okay, I guess that's a lot of money. You could fund Ukraine for a long time. Well, it being Ukraine, that you could fund it for a moderately long time.
Well, like I said, though, it would be the end of number one. It would be the end of Euroclear. Like that, nobody would put their money in Euroclear ever again. And
just so people understand, Euroclear,
that's where this money is being held largely, right? And it's basically how do I describe? It's a clearinghouse for lack of a better word, for financial.
It's for
holdings.
closing, yes, like closing financial deals, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so they have it. And yeah, I think you're right, but I think they're going to do it. Look, they're saying it. Look, they're saying it. I think they're that desperate. There's nothing else that they have.
But even if they did it, though, like, let's get back to reality land, right? You got Trump slapped whatever it was, 200% tariffs on China. China reacted by restricting rare earths and slapping their own tariffs on. And the U.S. capitulated within like 2 days because they realized that they, to use Trump's language, they didn't have the cards.
Yep.
So all this will do will slap a 500% tariff on China. So China will only react more unfavorably than they did last time. And then you have India, which India, yeah, it'll hit India. But because, India has got about $80 billion worth of exports to the U.S., which is about 10% of their global exports, right? So 10% is material, but it's not a gain. Like it's not going to cripple the country or anything. So
yeah, imagine they're doing deals with the Russians in rupees. That's basically they're going to stop that. I don't know about that. They pay for gas in rupees, and then they sell that gas for euros. I don't know if they're going to stop that.
Well, of course they're not. And they've already said they won't. And same thing with Brazil. Brazil's the funniest one because the U.S. actually has a trade surplus with Brazil. That's what Trump wants. And now he wants to slap these tariffs on Brazil. And Lula has already said, yeah, we'll match them dollar for dollar. So a 500% tariff, you're just saying, okay, this is now a trade embargo in place, right? And the thing about it is, all these tariffs have done so far is help these countries. Brazil is actually like the American farmer is fucked with this. You realize that because every time, whether it be Biden or whoever slap these tariffs on, all that means is agriculture products get shifted to another country, right? So soybeans is a perfect example. The Chinese have been shifting their imports of soybeans over to Brazil for years. So yeah, throw a 500% tariff on. Great. Well, Chinese will never buy a crop from the U.S. again, nor will the Indians, right? So and that, all those sales are going to South America. So countries like Brazil are reaping the benefits of it.
Europe would get weary. He made a huge mistake. NATO is bigger and stronger, and we're more committed than ever to make sure he does not take Ukraine by force. So Congress is on the verge of passing the most consequential sanction package in the history of the country. It will give President Trump tools he doesn't have today, a literal sledgehammer. And the big offender here,
second time they brought up this sledgehammer,
is China, India, and Brazil.
We're going to bring a sledgehammer to the bully.
No, I have a feeling that Lindsey has a lot of fantasies and daydreams about sledgehammers, if you know what I mean.
Sledgehammers and Vladimir Putin. He really wants to bring that hammer on Putin, or have Putin bring the hammer on him.
India
I think he likes hammering, is what I'm saying. I think he's a big fan of. He'll take the hammering any way he can get it, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
He's not fussy.
So Vladimir Putin has to ride in on the horse or whatever. Better yet, on a bear, all like shirtless, yeah, and like maybe chaps because he's Lindsey Graham, so he's from the South. He's just like, oh, please hammer me, Vladimir. That's why they're so obsessed with all the Trump Putin gay memes.
The big offender here is China, India, and Brazil. India buys oil from Russia cheap and resells it. That's despicable. I've talked to
No, that's called business.
President Trump. He said last week it's time to move. He's tried to entice Putin to the table, but my goal is to end this war.
To your point earlier, Trump tried to entice Vladimir Putin to the table with what? At what point in time did Trump say we're going to honor the Russian minimum requirements? At no point.
The only way you're going to end this war is to get people who prop up Putin, make them choose between the American economy and helping Putin. And you can only have one negotiator, and that's going to be President Trump with maximum flexibility to end this war. China, India, and Brazil, you're about.
They keep saying that it's going to give Trump flexibility, but it's going to have congressional oversight. But honestly, those are kind of contradictory.
To get hurt big time if you keep helping Putin.
But Senator, respectfully, the president's rhetoric has changed this week on Russia. He is making clear his patience is very thin. But he's got right now at his fingertips just short of $4 billion in presidential drawdown authority. He doesn't need to ask Congress. He doesn't need to ask the Europeans for that money. He's got it if he wants to tap it. Wouldn't it be a stronger sign if he just sent those weapons or surged them?
The number one
Oh my gosh, dude, seriously.
And this goes back, this is why I keep saying she's not wrong. And this is what I'm saying, it's fantasy. Because if Trump wants to send weapons, he does have the PDA, and there's still money in it. So why hasn't he? And the answer is theater. Lindsey Graham's an actor, that's all.
Well, a theater to do what then? What are they doing? Like, where's the Chekhov's gun that they're hanging on the...
Like I said, they just want to keep the grift going on for as long as they can, right? That's it. But they don't want to pay for it, obviously.
I get the feeling that Donald Trump really is starting to lose patience, and it's because it's almost like he disappointed himself because he's like, I had to deal with Putin 4 times.
If you watch his body language when he's saying that, and this is what I said to you last week, Trump thought he could go on in and say, I'm Trump, you're going to knock it off, and everybody would listen. And he was told no. And like a good sociopath, he's a classic narcissist, like you said last week, who hates being told no. And that's all there is to it. But if you look at Trump's history and his track record, anybody who stands up to Trump, he has a little temper tantrum and then he capitulates. So that's what's going to happen. That's all. That's it.
It's so true, though. It's funny, but it's true. He always does this. He always backs down in the end.
Well, the $4 billion.
I don't know.
Is not nearly enough. I expect him to exercise that drawdown authority. But the game regarding Putin's invasion of Russia is about to change. I expect in the coming days, you will see weapons flowing at a record level to help Ukraine defend themselves.
So if he expects that, he must be expecting the seizure of the assets.
So when was this? When was this? Sunday?
It was like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sunday. Yeah. So not one bullet has gone, Lindsey. Hate to break it to you.
See, this is what I think. Because remember, what did Trump say the next day? His whole thing was the 50-day deal. I think that maybe they expected more. I think maybe they expected announcing the seizure of assets or something. I don't know. We can't really announce that, but maybe if like Donald Trump could seize $5 billion of the assets, then they could come back stronger and say to the Europeans, you should do that as well. I don't know.
I expect
Bradley, all the 50 days was they wanted to kick the can down the road because they weren't prepared, right? The Europeans hadn't figured their shit out, and they still haven't figured their shit out. So basically, it's like, okay, kick the can down the road another 2 months. Europe, we want you to buy our weapons, figure out how to give us your money. You've got 50 days because we've just kicked the can down the road another 2 months, but you better get on it because the Russians keep advancing. That was the message.
And if you have to steal the money,
whatever it is you need to do, as long as we get it, that's the main thing. So focus on that, Europe.
We need to save our dollar, our economy, not yours.
Tariffs and sanctions available to President Trump he's never had before. I expect in the coming days more support from Europe regarding their efforts to help Ukraine. Putin made a miscalculation here. For 6 months, President Trump tried to entice Putin to the table. The attacks have gone up, not down. One of the biggest miscalculations Putin has made is to play Trump. And you just watch in the coming days and weeks. There's going to be a massive effort to get Putin to the table. And to those who are helping him,
it's going to be a massive effort to get Putin to the table. In the next few weeks, he said?
Days and weeks.
Next few days and weeks. There's going to be a massive effort. It's off to a whimper so far.
There's going to be a massive effort to get Putin to the table. And to those who are helping him, China buying cheap Russian oil and having no accountability, those days are about over.
Senator Blumenthal.
Oh yeah, who's gonna stop him? You and what army?
Well,
You and,
like, literally, what army, right?
yeah.
On Ukraine, North Korea has been sending troops, as you know, to fight for Russia in Ukraine. Russia's top diplomat was just meeting with Kim Jong-un. We know that the missile technology Russia is providing them is sort of their payment for sending bodies to fight. Is that going to make a measurable difference in the North Korean nuclear program? Is there more of a threat today to the U.S. because of it?
What do you think he's going to say? Or he's going to say Russia bad, North Korea bad. They do bad things. We got to hammer them hard.
I think he's going to say, I can't wait for this interview to end so I can go suck Lindsey's cock.
The threat of cooperation on that score in sending missile technology to North Korea, as well as support for Iran that potentially could come from Russia, is a major piece of evidence why we need to be strong with our allies against this axis. It still exists.
Oh, that's right.
Success against Iran's nuclear program ought not to make us complacent about the dangers of proliferating.
Success against Iran's nuclear program.
What? Nuclear arms. And absolutely, yes.
Didn't news just come out that the uranium was not destroyed?
We should be coming down stronger, not only on Russia, but North Korea. And our plan has to be to deter this kind of nuclear arms cooperation, which is why our working with our allies is so important.
Yep.
As they went around the room, these are the major European leaders, all of them assembled together.
Major European nobodies.
Last Thursday in Rome, thanking us for being there, Senator Graham and myself, and General Kellogg representing.
Thank you too for being here. You two are like the heroes of Europe.
Trump,
not just Ukraine.
This moment of unity must be seized, and the timing is absolutely critical. President Zelensky has been robust.
You can tell, though, just watch his body language. He doesn't believe a word he's saying. He's begging right now. That's exactly what he's doing. He is fucking begging. And there is no unity in Europe. He knows this. He's not stupid. And I think that this is the sign of a very desperate type person. Just look at him. He's afraid. Look.
Well, his quote unquote unity, he described it. It's the major leaders of Europe.
In Rome, thanking us for being there, Senator Graham and myself, and General Kellogg representing Trump. This moment of unity must be seized, and the timing is absolute.
I think this is an interesting point to consider. Like, this whole moment of unity must be seized, because that's how they got rid of Finnish and Swedish neutrality, was by exploiting a moment in time where public opinion was super anti-Russia to get it pushed through. And people were saying that there was like no vote or anything for it. It just like happened, and the scholars were upset about it. And now the population is getting some what is it called? Some buyer's remorse. But
critical.
So yeah, this whole thing, maybe.
He's the people in Finland like being a part of NATO? Of course they don't.
Of unity must be.
So this whole thing of unity, where it's like, hey, right now is the time where you might make a bad decision. You see this buyer's remorse you're feeling? This is the time to layer on with your mistakes, seize the assets before you realize what a stupid thing that is.
And the timing is absolutely critical. President Zelensky has been robust and stalwart, but his people are being killed by bombs and drones, children kidnapped. We need to...
Oh, man, they've been debunked.
Really express the strength of the United States, because only strength can get Putin to the table.
See, and that's what it is. Like, do they really believe that? I think to some extent they have to. They have to be somewhat like believers.
No, not at all. It was very clear to me watching that he didn't believe a word he was saying. He's afraid. You could hear it in the tone of his voice. No, man, he doesn't believe a word he's saying. Like, he's a spokesmodel. That's it. And
Lindsey Graham, maybe like Lindsey Graham still does.
You know, and you talk about Sweden and Finland. Yeah, I agree with you. They hit while the iron was hot. But you ask anybody that now, none of them would want to join NATO, particularly the Finns. Like, you got to understand how the Finnish economy is taking a beating right now, right? Because, particularly, and I think I mentioned this before, on the borders, like people used to go over to Russia, buy cheap goods, come back. It was a way to,
chill in St. Petersburg for a weekend.
Yeah. Well, and just cross the border, get cheap stuff, come back. Like it worked out very well for the Finns. Not only that, their forestry industry is completely shafted, man, because they've spent so many decades just importing in cheap Russian timber for their mills and stuff. And I know a bit about this. I worked in a logging camp back in the day. So when I say you need to build up your forestry industry, okay? To get those logs out and all that requires a tremendous amount of work and infrastructure, okay? The Finnish have let that go to shit the last 30 years. So a lot of their mills now are shutting down because they're not importing in any timber. The timber that they have is really either really expensive or not enough of it, right?
Geniuses.
True, geniuses. Exactly. Oh yeah. Plus, they gotta militarize their border now too.
Because
right?
the Russians are militarizing their border there now because they're part of NATO. So yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
Senator Graham, on another topic here, you have been an advocate for the allies of the United States who were left behind in Afghanistan following that chaotic 2021 withdrawal by the last administration. On Friday, the State Department laid off the personnel in the department that helps place those refugees and other allies in the United States. Two sources with direct knowledge told CBS that there are about 1,400 Afghan allies with connections to the Pentagon, with connections to U.S. intelligence, and they're stuck there. They don't know what's happening next. Can you stop them from being sent back to the Taliban?
Yeah, I don't think there's any desire by anybody to send people who helped us in Afghanistan back to the Taliban control. That's not going to happen. As to trimming up the State Department, if you're telling me we can't reduce the number of people working in the State Department and still run it effectively, I don't buy that. We can do both.
Well, there are some questions about who's going to actually help prevent them from going back to Afghanistan, which is why I was asking you.
Just like, hey, Ukraine, if you're watching, this is what we do. By the way, this is how it's going to end for you too.
Yeah, if you're going to advocate.
Side note for a sec, did you hear about the whole UK Ministry of Defense data leak?
Wait, what? No.
Oh, go read up about that, dude. Last few days, it all broke that the Ministry of Defense over in La La Land over there was a big data leak, and basically all their Afghani informants, all that, all was made public. Their addresses, numbers, everything. Yeah, a bunch of them were killed. Like, it's just been a mess. Yeah.
Wow. I definitely have to read up about that.
Go check it out.
On their behalf. Senator Blumenthal, you sit on the Judiciary Committee, I believe. CBS has reported yesterday that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, fired 20 DOJ employees who worked on the classified documents cases and the January 6th investigations. There are more firings expected. These are career officers and lawyers who don't pick their assignments. They're handed out to them. Is there anything that Congress can do to protect some of these civil servants?
Margaret, that's a really important question because Pam Bondi has so politicized and weaponized the Department of Justice, and now firing these career professionals who have devoted their lives to the Department of Justice. It's only one facet of the continuing politicization. And yes, Congress ought to be investigating. The Judiciary Committee ought to begin right away its inquiry. But I'm calling for an Inspector General investigation, not only of these firings, but also of the dropping of a prosecution into the Utah physician who was mid-trial on charges of conspiracy, fraud against the government in connection with
do something about those ears. My God,
vaccine scheme, apparently at the behest of politicians who were deeply angry about the MAGA issue there. And I believe strongly that now Congress must investigate.
Senator Graham, do you want to quickly respond to those allegations of politicized handling of the Justice Department?
Yeah, y'all missed a lot. The Justice Department was used to destroy President Trump, his family, and try to change the election by bringing a bunch of BS charges against him for years. We're going to clean that mess up. As to Pam Bondi, I have all the confidence in the world she will do her job. And if somebody's been terminated, they have rights under the civil service law to say it was wrongfully done. But I'm almost amused at the idea that people are now suddenly worried about politicization of the Justice Department, why everybody's that quiet for all those years. Literally, the Justice Department under Biden tried to change the election by prosecuting Trump based on
Yeah, he's definitely not wrong here.
bunch of BS.
Well,
I mean, I think he's just saying that because he's got to be buddies with Trump and he's got to be the Trump whisperer for Congress. So he has to say these nice things. But, that definitely is laying out Trump's position, I would say, very effectively.
mass firings, which is why I was asking you about them, sir. Senators, thank you for joining us for a bipartisan interview.
That was funny. Hold up. We got to watch
That's why I
that
was
last
asking
part.
you about them, sir. Senators, thank you for joining us for a bipartisan.
Yeah. I wonder if he's speaking to somebody in the room. But yeah, so the sequel to
An interview
Thank you.
up until that last section.
what
Yeah,
happened to all
so-
that unity? Whoa, what happened to the unity?
Well, the bill is a big nothing burger. The funding's a big nothing burger. They're just trying to keep the grift going for as long as they possibly can. Europe is having a complete meltdown because literally they don't know what to do. And I think that they're sobering up, and they're going to have to. They're starting to sober up now. A lot of them already have. More will, and their biggest challenge is going to be how they wrap this up, and also how, like I said, how they keep the people in the country. So Europe's got a lot of problems on its hands. Buying weapons should be the least of their concerns right now.
Yeah, well, what do we care? We want them to. I mean, maybe that's what the 50-day deal is. After 50 days, the nuclear thing that Trump will do is, I mean, they already started seizing the interest from the assets, so I guess they have to seize the assets. What else is left?
Oh, I think that 50 days was arbitrary, like I said, for the Euros to figure it out. And I think within the next 50 days, the Euros will figure it out. And they'll say, no.
This happens. This happens. The next day, Trump comes out. People are disappointed by what Trump is saying, right? Everybody's upset that they did this 50-day thing. People are saying we expected more from him. We expected tougher measures. Maybe because they talked about these sanctions, right? Maybe Trump did threaten very hardcore sanctions. Actually, wait, where I had a article pulled up about it, so I could be like, see what's up with more up-to-date stuff about it. Okay, so this is from TASS. U.S. administration will introduce trade tariffs, secondary sanctions against Russia if Moscow does not agree to a ceasefire or a deal on Ukraine during 50 days. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said. Yeah, so a ceasefire or a deal. Why did they write it that way?
Well, because this means nothing. That's why they kicked it down the road 2 months. They intend to do nothing because they can't do anything. So, like I said, they just chose 50 days, and they said, Europe, we want you to start giving us money for our weapons. Figure it out. And I think, like I said,
I agree with that.
Yeah. So over the next 2 months, Europe is going to realize that they can't pay for it, and that'll be it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
and then America will have to come to a decision. Like, what? Okay, then if you're not going to pay us anymore, the weapons have now dried up. You need to reach a deal with Russia. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, see, this is the thing that they're trying to avoid doing at all costs, and and not even just Europe, but like Ukraine too. At all costs, it's like it's time. It was time to make a deal a long ass time ago. Every single time, like we've already discussed many times, every single time the deal is worse. It was time to make a deal a long time ago. It's like literally.
You just muted yourself, I think.
Germans and
oh, there he is. Oh, disappeared again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, you're there. You just blanked out for a second.
Oh, okay. What was I saying? But anyway, I agree with you that that's kind of my point too, is that they want to boost the American economy at the expense of whatever they can squeeze out of Europe. And they're holding over Europe their defense, maybe umbrella a little bit. Because as much as the more Europe panics, and like I think you're right, there's nothing that we can do really. When I listen to somebody like Lindsey Graham, it feels like he doesn't think that. I think he doesn't agree with it. I think he thinks that we could do anything we wanted to. Like he's like, we shouldn't have even withdrawn from Afghanistan like that. We should. He saw what he thought we could have done Russia and Afghanistan at the same time.
Right. Again, you got to realize he's nothing but a politician. He's a spokesmodel, right? Like you can't really listen and believe what any of these people are saying because they're supposed to say these things, right? These are the people who are going to tell you that everything's okay right up until the point that it's not, right? So, I'm sure that there was a politician out in Pompeii back in 79 AD telling people how everything was fine. You know what I mean? So, you can't really believe what Graham is saying because, and you also got to realize all of the, like, not only is Europe sobering up, America's sobering up too, right? People are starting to realize that America has changed. America is no longer the top dog. Marco Rubio has even said that, right? And
he says something about us being, go ahead.
And America realizes, and more and more people are realizing it every day, that there are limits to American power. And furthermore, not only are there limits to American power is declining. So that's a sobering position to be in when for the last 30 years you've been going around without a rival and you could basically tell everybody else what to do. Mm-hmm. So people like Lindsey Graham, they've gone up through that system, right? People younger than Lindsey Graham, like a Rubio, for example, or whoever, they've grown up in this system. Like a Hegseth doesn't know anything better, right? He's existed only in this world. He doesn't know what it was like before the Cold War or back in the Cold War or whatever, right? So I guess what I'm saying is I think a lot of the quote unquote, whatever we want to call it, the deep state, whatever, for the longest time, the first 3 years of this conflict, they were still, no, we're the biggest, the baddest, whatever. I think they're realizing now, and particularly with these tariffs and how nobody cares and nobody's buying it, and particularly China, I think they realize now that, oh God, maybe we're not as big and as bad as we thought we were.
Well, just to put a cherry on top of your point, Trump softening on China, Bloomberg.
Oh, there you go. And there's and that's the right approach, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's continuing to say you're the biggest, baddest motherfucker in the world when Trump you're down on the canvas.
More than 150 new nations of tariffs.
Yeah.
Has said he plans to send letters informing countries that their tariff rates could be set at 10 or 15%. Yeah, dude, good luck. Apparently also in other news, Ukraine has a new prime minister and foreign minister or deputy foreign minister. Okay, anyway. How is Europe going to fund this? Now, in part by stealing Russian assets, in part by France plans to tax big business and the rich while slashing public spending. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. This is what we've always said would happen. Paris, the new French government will set out plans for cutting public spending and hiking taxes on France's business and wealthiest households in a budget designed to address concerns over France's colossal debt. Michael Barnier, the newly appointed prime minister, will publish draft legislation on Thursday evening. Politico has exclusively seen a document setting out key details of his blueprint. The new administration intends to re-inject 60 billion euros into state coffers, mostly through spending reductions, tax hikes on businesses in France's wealthiest households, blah, blah, blah. All right, since the French president appointed him last month, Barnier has made getting France's books into order a top priority, pledging action to address the country's annual budget deficit and to comply with EU spending rules. By 2029, France is facing a so-called excessive deficit procedure in Brussels and has until October 31st to set out a credible plan for... Go ahead.
So hold on a second. Reading through that, does this sound like a country to you that's going to increase their military spending to 5%? Come on,
it seems
man.
like they can't afford it. Yeah, dude. It's such a good point. Like they already can't afford it. They're already in the hole. What do you expect? And maybe they expect French austerity measures all across France to fund. Well, I mean, that's kind of what this is already doing, right?
Because that'll go over so well with the protesters in France, right? Like the whole thing is falling. Like it's all fantasy. And
slowly.
You could replace France's name in this article with any other country in Europe, and the article would still work, right? Like they're all in this spot. So that's what I go back to. NATO's done because Europe can't afford it. And I also think Europe realizes that they don't want to afford it, because if they can't beat Russia, which it's clear they can't, then what's the sense of throwing more money at it? Because it's only going to, come back to haunt them.
That's the $64,000 question. And what do you think it is? You think it's that they're holding out for a miracle? You think it's that they're you say that they wanted to continue the grift. So what? Continue the
No. The Americans want to continue the grift. The Europeans want to keep this going for as long as they can because they want to get America back in it. They want to get America involved in the war because
back to outlast Trump, basically.
Outlast Trump. Yeah. They want to get to the midterms. They want to outlast Trump. They want to do something that will protect their little cocoon of comfort that they have, right? Mm-hmm. Because like I said, without the power of NATO and the influence and everything else, the whole system collapses. And people realize your mask comes off and everybody sees your true face, right? And I go back to who in 2025 gives a rat's ass what the UK thinks about anything. Like they bring nothing to the table. Yeah. So, and you could again say that about all the European countries, right? So, I think for Europe, they see this as existential. However, it's existential to the point where if we can get the Americans in, we'll go along. However, if we've got to pay for it ourselves, well, that's different. We need to step back because we know we can't afford it. So
how's America going to pay for it? America can't pay for it.
They're not. America's already said that they're not. And that's what's happening right now as we speak. You've got America's backed out. Europe is the checks on the table, and Europe is trying to figure out, how do we pay for this? And the answer is none of us can pay for it because we left our wallets in the car and we're all fucking broke, right? So they're all going to realize really quickly that this is not something that's financially achievable. It's not militarily achievable. None of the populations are going to support it. It's a loser all around. So they're going to back away from it.
And not to mention materially impossible.
Correct. And then from there, then's where you're going to see the fun start to happen, because that's when NATO starts to break up. That's when the EU starts to break up. And that's when we go to good old fashioned nation state trading like we used to 50 years ago, right? Or whatever it was. So I see that that's what's happening for sure. I don't see NATO or the EU surviving in my lifetime.
But how is, I don't see the deep state in the U.S. going down without a fight. This is part of what that is, right? This whole thing is part of them trying to fight back,
Yeah.
go into some
but-
kind of scramble, survive mode.
But what do you think the last 3 years has been? That's been the fight. So it's not that they're not going down without a fight. They've thrown all sorts of stuff at Russia and they've lost. And furthermore, they've been trying to minimize China for the last 15 years at
And
least.
they've lost there too.
And they've lost there too. So it's not like they haven't tried. It's just everything that they've tried has failed. And eventually you just got to say, we got nothing left. How do we integrate ourselves into this new economy as opposed to, try to push the stone up the hill? So I think what you're going to see America, and Trump is starting to do that now anyway. That's why he's talking about deals with Russia and blah, 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 because the next logical step for America is going to be, how do we take a still powerful, rich country? We need to realign our economy to where the money's going to be, to where the trade is going to be. It's not going to be Europe. Okay. Europe's in the rearview mirror. Where do we form our alliances in the 21st century? That's going to be the next phase. And I agree with you. America's still kicking and screaming. There are still people like Lindsey Graham out there, but the people like Lindsey Graham are becoming fewer and fewer.
Fewer, yeah. Well,
So, you're just going to see America over time, because it's going to be a blow, no question. But they'll reintegrate into the rest of the world. Much better than Europe will. Europe's finished. They're just done, because there's nothing there. There's old relics. Like, people go to Europe for tourism still, and that's it.
yeah, the bottom line is the United States has oil. We still have some industry, right?
Yeah.
We have resources. We
Totally.
have what we need.
You know me, I've been saying from day one, the best thing for America to do, declare bankruptcy, start fresh. You'll be better off for it. No question.
Right off the debts. Like Michael Hudson says, right off the debts. Exactly. But anyway. Yeah,
and
this
that's
is
what'll happen, right? We both know that's what's eventually going to happen, right? So what we're seeing right now.
Not World War? You don't think World War is going to happen instead? You don't think they're going to?
No. Yes, no. Like, and I keep saying to you guys, like, when we chat on OM and whatever, it's like, they're talking about a war with China. And I've never said that there'd be a war with China, because for me, it was just never logistically possible. And no, you're never going to see a World War III, nothing like that, because you need to have industry and money, and America doesn't have either. So, I just think it'll be
not everybody realizes we've been checkmated on that front. I think that some people like Lindsey Graham, what are we making? They recently restarted Stinger production. They're making 60 a month, something like that. So the bottom line is, and I wonder what is Europe capable of making?
Nothing.
And, so
there's nothing there, man. Like, if they can't get a log out of the forest, how do you expect them to build a long-range missile? You know what I mean? They've got nothing there. They're hollowed
So
out.
what do they have to do? Come
stuff.
crawling back to the Russians? You think that in the end,
yes,
they're going to tuck their tail? That's what you think.
Of course it will. That's the only logical thing for them to do, because, Russia is a natural trading partner with Europe because of the proximity and stuff, and also because Russia complements Europe so well. Russia also complements China so well. So typically,
as we have been able to see,
yeah. So typically, when you have trading states that complement each other really well like that, they're not going to go to war, right? The only problem with Europe is, frankly, America has been pushing them towards it for the last 80 years. And, in fairness, the Europeans prior to that, for the, 1,000 years before that, were trying to take Russian resources, right? This is not a new thing.
Yeah.
But I think now...
and now they're keeping the flame alive, more so than even the Americans.
The game's up now. Like, the Western Empire is done. And it was a good run, but it's over.
But this whole ridiculous thing, dude, where they say, okay, we're going to send them 2 Patriot batteries. We're going to that's like one Russian Iskander can take out 2 Patriot batteries, and this has happened. Okay, we're going to send them 10 Patriot missiles. Like, this is ridiculous. Are they making fun of them? Is this to add insult to injury? Like, why would you?
It's all they have, Bradley. That's the thing, right? Like, the idea that the U.S. Army has got infinite power is folly. The idea that NATO has got infinite power is folly. Like, we all see that now. Like, these are the guys who are saying we've got nothing left.
Yeah, we're supposedly down to 1/4 of our Patriot inventory. Supposedly,
well, the 2 Patriot batteries, those are the only 2 batteries the Germans have.
They're the 2. Oh, really? I didn't realize again.
Yes.
They're only 2 batteries. I know that those are the only 2 batteries they could scrape together because nobody else wanted to give any of them.
They're the only 2 they have.
Nice. Oh my
And they
gosh,
might
dude.
not, and actually they might not even give those up now because apparently they're in a pissing match with the U.S. because the U.S. wants them to pay for 5 or some crap. But I don't know. It's just messed up.
Yeah,
but
I was
no, they've
reading
only
something
got
about
2
that.
Patriots. They've only got 2 Patriot batteries. So, like, when I say that there's nothing left, the cupboard's bare. Like, there's a reason why they were sending over Hawk systems from the 1950s. You know, it's it was
Yeah,
grift.
but the
It's always been.
juxtaposition alone of 500 Russian drones and missiles compared against 10 Patriot missiles and 2 Patriot batteries. Like,
Yeah.
what does Patriot battery have? Like 4 launcher tubes? I don't know how many. Like, so you can shoot them off. You can shoot off one salvo each.
Yeah.
Like, what is
and
that?
I mean, and people aren't stupid, right? Do you think some mother in Prague
People are
is
coping,
gonna?
man.
No,
People
some
are
mother
coping.
in Prague is not gonna let her son be drafted into this mess, or in Stockholm, or in wherever. You know, it's not gonna happen. The European people have zero interest in this conflict. They don't want to
European
pay
people
for it.
see
They
interest
don't
in
want
the
to fund it.
migration policy that they've been subjected to, and you know what? Nobody's asking them. So, and the German, even powerful German businesses were on the side of Nord Stream, and not just the people. Of course, who the hell cares what the people think in a democracy, right? But like powerful business interests were not able to sway to pull them.
Well, they're gonna start to care, because if they don't start to care really soon,
They were going to crash. They are going to crash. Yeah, they're going to crash anyway, but they're going to crash harder.
No, if they don't start listening to their voters soon, I think bad things will happen to them. Okay, I think the European people are getting to that point, particularly in Germany. So, and particularly in France. You know, let them eat cake. Just saying.
According to Skorkin, the reshuffle serves. This is the reshuffle of the president cabinet, or leadership in Ukraine. The reshuffle serves to consolidate control under Andrei Yermak, the powerful head of the presidential administration. No matter how loyal Shmihal was, he was not Yermak's creature, and therefore he had to be replaced. Previous attempts to remove Shmihal were blocked by Servant of the People party leader Schmiegel. David Arakhamia, who represented a rare alternative voice within the administration. Even Ian News tries to. Anyway, so second woman to serve as prime minister in Ukraine, following the path of Yulia Tymoshenko. Martial law continuing and no end in sight. The possibility of restoring institutional balance looks increasingly remote. Even thinking about such a time is beginning to seem utopian. Skorkin concluded. Yeah, slowly but surely. Let's see here. Oh yeah, and so, but look, here's what the Germans are saying. Meanwhile, this is today. German Chancellor Merz expresses hope that the American government, together with the U.S. Congress, will make the decisions that Congress has been preparing for several weeks. I think this is a continuation of that Senator Blumenthal interview. Kiev will soon receive long-range systems. Go ahead.
Well, I think the first sentence says it all. He expressed hope, hope, hope.
Yeah,
That's all.
I think it's a key. I think that's a key word in that phrase. In the coming weeks and months, Ukraine will receive much more substantial support through such systems. I really hope that the American government, together with the U.S. Congress, will make the decisions that Congress has been preparing for several weeks. Mertz added, indicating that he is in close contact with several senators who have prepared to do this. Oh, Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal are our two boys. I know we know exactly who you were in contact with. Trust me, man. Maybe it's because you don't speak English, but these people are like represent the two stupidest people in the entire Washington D.C. Like you could not find somebody that is more retarded than those two people. That's not. This is not the kind of praise. This is not the kind of win that you think it is. And we really hope that this will then lead to an appropriate decision by the American government. That's hope 2 times. He has 2 hopes in one sentence.
Several hopes. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what they call that? Yeah. They call that high hopes. But yeah, high apple pie in the sky hopes.
Yeah. So again, all I'm seeing is fantasy here. Like, it's all theater because they don't know what to do, but they want to make it look like they're doing something. That's all.
Wait. I want to see this. Russian soldier catches Ukrainian drone with bare hands video. This is not the 2 scoops of crazy, but maybe.
Probably not the thing you want to catch either, but let's see what happens.
Oh, you can't hear anything. There's nothing there anyway. Oh my gosh. So probably if you can catch it in the right way, it doesn't explode then, right? If you can catch it.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
Breaks it. Oh, no way.
This guy is like, he must have balls of steel, hey? Either that or he's the dumbest guy in the world.
There you go. Fuck that drone. Oh my gosh.
Good for him.
Yeah, right. He's like, you raised my blood pressure. I'm going to freaking destroy.
Guy's banging a munition against the thing with his bare hands.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's.
And again, guys, like,
very
if you
Russian.
ever think, like I've always said this, if you ever think you could beat a Russian, look at that, right? Who wants to fight these people? They're all bloody nuts.
Oh yeah, so this is what you were talking about, the $7 billion scramble to save the lives after the Ministry of Data breach. I didn't realize this happened years ago. 2 years of court fights and rescue plans projected to cost billions, all hidden from MPs and the public. Now, after lifting an unprecedented super injunction, the full story can be told. Social affairs correspondent, blah, 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 reports. Okay, let's see. 6 months, 80-strong MOD team was working through the difficult task of assessing the application. Right, so they're going through the application. Isn't that the same shit that they did in America, too, where they took all these guys that were processing these applications and fired them? Documented fact, okay. He decided to email the database, which he believed contained 150 names to trusted sources. But the document, in fact, contained 33,000 records and the details of more than 18,000 Afghan applicants and their loved ones. He pressed send twice, apparently unaware of the extent of the data he was sending because of hidden rows within the spreadsheet. Oh, man. Only today, after a nearly 2-year legal battle involving the country's most prominent judges and media organizations, including The Independent, can the astonishing story of what happened next can finally be told. This is try to save our ass reputation. August 14, 2023, 16 months after the spreadsheet was shared, that the crisis began for the government. On that day, an anonymous member of a Facebook group set up for people applying to resettlement schemes created by the UK government wrote a post in which they claimed to be in possession of a database containing 33,000 records. What do you think? The person posted asking the 1,300 members whether they should share the details. They were challenged to prove that they had access to the information. When they replied with a screenshot of the database as well as the contact details of a person who had applied to relocate to the UK, another member raised the alarm and the scramble began. The incident was instantly reported. Hundreds of Afghani families were being housed in hotels by the UK government while waiting to be moved to Britain, so in Pakistan. Team sent a WhatsApp message to around 1,800 people warning of their contact information may have been compromised by a data incident. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I wonder how many people were already dead by the time they received that message. Secretary of State for Defense at the time, Ben Wallace, was informed of the breach within minutes, along with MI6 and the CIA and the Foreign Office, according to independent caseworker, was supporting Afghans with sanctuary applications. Next day, the same caseworker emailed, okay, this is not important. Taliban may well now have 33,000 long kill list, essentially provided to them by the UK government. If any of these families are murdered, the government will be liable. Minutes after the email was sent, the breach was reported to the settlement team. Okay, this is more okay. So anyway, there's a lot to read here. I'm not going to read through this whole article because we're starting to write.
Bottom line, it's another cock up by the British government.
Yeah,
It's gotten a bunch of people killed, and these are people that put their trust in the British government.
Yep. And just so you guys know, this is they're apparently no better than the Americans, because I mean, what did we hear from the Senator Graham and Blumenthal interview, where she was asking, what about all these people that are getting fired that are processing these applications? Like, who cares about them, dude? We are done. We are washing our hands of Afghanistan. That is a loss. We don't like losers. Go away. But anyway, so for 2 scoops of crazy, no, that was not it. Oh my gosh, I hope. Okay. Nigeria, finally, we're doing an Africa story. Nigeria Customs seizes 10,603 donkey penises, presumed headed for China, in major wildlife trafficking case. So, I don't know. That means those donkeys were killed, right? If you because if you castrate a donkey, you get to take the balls off. You're not gonna. So those must have been because you don't just chop off dicks off donkeys, right? Or do you? I don't know. Anyway, Nigeria
I never have personally, but I don't know enough about donkey penises to really know what
how that works. Yeah. Apparently, though, you can chop them off by the tens of thousands and ship them off to China. Nigeria Customs Service intercepted a shipment containing 10,603 donkey penises, presumed headed for China, highlighting the scale of illicit wildlife trafficking through the country's borders, the cable has reported. The 40-foot container was seized on June 5th along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway, following an intelligence-led operation. So they have their intelligence on the case, trying to hunt down these donkey dicks. According to a briefing by custom officials, the seizure was executed by the Special Wildlife Office in collaboration with the Customs Intelligence Unit. Animal parts such as donkey.
Okay, read it. Yeah.
Animal parts such as donkey penises are frequently trafficked to meet demand in traditional medicine markets, particularly in China, where they are believed to have medicinal or aphrodisiac properties. As local donkey populations decline, traffickers increasingly source animals from African countries like Nigeria, despite national bans and concerns about biodiversity loss and animal welfare, the cable writes. Yeah,
why would a donkey cock be an aphrodisiac? And why would it have aphrodisiac properties?
There's some herbal traditional medicines. It's for the same reason that they get rhino horns. They think it's going to like cure your erectile dysfunction. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Chinese are into some weird shit, man. Any Chinese girl I was ever with, all she needed was vodka. But I guess, when in China, do what the Chinese do.
Yeah, when in China, careful of the vodka. It might have ground donkey dick. Officials see, to me, that's so gay too. Like, what are you doing? Are you gonna just I wonder how you do smoke the donkey dick? Do you ingest it? Is it part of your donkey tea? But anyway, the seized items have been handed over to the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency for further investigation. Okay, I'm imagining somebody that's like, oh my gosh, it turns out you should see my dildo collection. It's all donkey dicks. And I work for the NESREA. Can I please be part of this further investigation? I need to be part of this investigation. I need to investigate the evidence. Officials cited...
I just got to say, I finish it up and then we'll close it.
Officials cited a series of earlier enforcement actions, including the seizure of 6 African gray parrots in Kano. At least parrots, there's something useful to be gained, right? And another case involving pangolins, monkeys, a baby baboon, and an African gray at Murtala Mohammed International Airport in 2025. Separate operation in Cross River State. Customs officers confiscate hundreds of bird heads. So they do want the heads. Geez, I wonder what is it like? Help you with respiratory problems or something? This is supposed to give you flight. One suspect was arrested in connection with the incident. What bird heads? I'm trafficking bird heads because some people are going to put it into their herbal medicine. Geez. Wildlife trafficking remains a significant challenge in Nigeria, with organized criminal networks exploiting the country's transportation corridors. Customs authorities reiterated their comments to tracking the illegal trade through increased enforcement and interagency coordination. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, can I just say, like, if by chance somebody in China finds us on YouTube and is watching this,
Yes.
just knock it off with the donkey dicks, please.
Yeah.
Like, why are you hurting the poor donkeys? You don't need to. It's 2025. Like, we got tons of drugs that'll get your dick hurt, like Viagra, all that stuff.
They're
You
probably
don't
made
need
in China.
donkey dicks. You don't
They
need
probably
donkey
make.
dicks
Yeah, and they probably make them in
2025.
China. Yeah, if
Leave
they
the
don't make them
donkeys
in, yeah, they probably make them in China. And well, I mean, the rhinoceros is almost gone because of this exact crap, right?
Yeah.
So,
And it's cheap too. Like, whatever you're paying for the donkey dick, I assure you, a couple pills of Viagra is going to be way cheaper. So just research it. Get back to us when you're in the 21st century.
yeah.
Please leave the donkeys alone. Like, I'm
See,
sure
like-
we could find a better use for the donkeys besides getting your dicks hurt. Like,
See, like if you're sitting around with your friends after you drink your donkey dick tea or whatever it is, and you guys are finding out that your erections have not been fixed, and you're contemplating, maybe we have to get the stronger shit. We have to go for a rhino horn. We have to find a rhino horn, right? Before you do that, I would implore you to try to take Nunya's advice. You know, there's a lot of options out there.
little blue pills. Yep.
Yeah, like alchemy, it's magic, and it's probably better for you. It's better for the donkeys. It's better for everybody that's involved in this trafficking. Highly would recommend to look into alternatives. But okay,
Like, I'll go as far to say that the dick pills you get at the gas stations would be more effective than donkey dick. I don't know that for a fact, but I gotta believe they would be.
almost certainly they're going to be, because at least they have to like advertise and people buy them. So some people come back and purchase them. They have some customers, so I'm sure they have some effect. Although, as I say that, apparently there's a huge market out there for donkey dick. So 10,603 donkey dicks.
That's a lot of donkey dick.
Yeah, dude, that's a lot of donkey dick.
Yeah.
How many feet of dick do you think that is, of donkey dick? That's probably miles and miles of donkey dick. Poor donkeys.
Well, if you do the math, right? Let's say the average donkey dong is 12 inches, right? Which I don't think
I'm
is
reluctant to
stretch.
look this up. I'm afraid of what might pop up on my screen.
Oh no, dude! I've seen horse boners before.
I
out in
have
the
too,
country.
but I mean, if you
And
Google
those
it, who the
things
hell
are like
knows?
those things are like your thigh or something. So let's say the donkey's a little bit smaller.
Well,
Let's say on average 12
I've had
inches.
bulls. I've had bulls and cows, so I mean, it probably about the same, right?
Yeah, so a foot-ish long. So that's a long way to go. That's you line those cocks up, and it's a marathon for sure.
Yeah, at least a mile of dick. But okay, so that is.
It reminds me of the Ice Cube song. I got dick for days. You got ass for weeks.
I know somebody who's got dick for days, and it's at the NC something bunch of letters.
All right,
But okay,
so
guys.
China, fuck off with the donkey dick. You don't
Yeah,
need
guys.
me.
Yeah, you guys make all of the pharmaceuticals now. You guys make the shit. Trust me. You guys, it's going to be better whenever you get there. Okay, anyway, guys, that is episode 27 of Hell in a Handbasket. So peace. Don't forget to do all the subscribey, YouTubey things, and we will be seeing you next week, if not on DPA. All right, bye.
Actually, no, we won't, because I'll be on vacation.
Ooh, are
So
you? Okay.
whenever I get back.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess you'll be seeing me on DPA Open Mic at least. But okay. All right, guys. Bye.
All right. Cheers.